Let's go.
Welcome to the SOULFAM Podcast, where we expand your personal universe. I'm Diana Marquetta, and in each episode, SOULFAM co-founder, co-creator Lexi Solden and I interview the world's most rising and longtime experts in consciousness, spirituality, entertainment, healing, and science. From Earth's dimensions and dimensions way, way beyond. On the SOULFAM Podcast, our frequencies are high and your heart chakras will open as these powerful voices of today share cutting-edge research, profound experiences, and valuable knowledge for your world in this out-of-this-world, thought-provoking, envelope-pushing interviews that could only take place right here on the SOULFAM Podcast. Now, a word for our sponsors, CBD Pure and Oweli Supplements. Both companies have gratefully offered a 15% discount with the SOULFAM Podcast, coupon code SOULFAM, and free shipping. Lexi and I have been working with these companies the last couple of weeks, trying a couple of products, and we both have had some great experiences.
Do you want to talk about the CBD Pure, your experience with that?
They have a CBD Pure muscle and joint lotion, which is made with non-GMO hemp grown without herbicides or pesticides or other dangerous chemicals. I had a couple of bumps and bruises from an accident and some ongoing neck pain from another accident. And I have to say that I walk around now with that lotion and it helps reduce those bumps and bruises and reduces the inflammation and just overall gives me some temporary relief from some ongoing pain.
That's pretty impressive there with working out and things like that is so good for you.
Yeah, super helpful. And didn't you treat your neighborhood cat?
I did. Yes. I asked for the CBD pet hemp oil from CBD Pure. So Frank is our neighborhood cat. He is not neutered. And I have a kitten who is not spayed. So unfortunately, Frank cannot come in. But we still feed Frank. We're building him an outdoor shelter. He's a wonderful cat. But he looks like he's got some arthritis. But I can tell after some of those nights being out in this rainy weather, he's not feeling as springy. So I did give him some of the CBD hemp oil. It's just half a little dropper. And I put it on a plate. He took the hemp oil and then he laid down in his little makeshift blanket nap area and took a nap. So
that's so sweet.
Yeah. So
Frank,
I know.
What a great cat.
I know. Frank is a great cat. So yeah, thank you CBD Pure for your CBD pet hemp oil helping poor arthritic Frank take a nap. He really needed the rest.
And then the other thing that we both have been trying is the Oweli supplements.
Yes.
Ladies, I have UTIs off and on.
Yeah.
They have a UTD product for UTI symptoms. Usually I buy several different kinds of supplements for that. And this has everything in one pill. I just feel much more at comfort. So my comfort level seems to have improved from that. Hope that makes sense. It's a little too much information.
It totally makes sense. Is that supplement like preventative?
Kind of feels preventative. It feels like it's helping certain aspects of like my system be elevated and it helps fight bacteria.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
did you try something yourself?
I tried the Oweli Neuro Brain and Focus formula supplement, supposed to help with healthy brain function, focus and alertness. It's supposed to enhance memory retention. I don't know if anyone knows this, but I have ADHD. I have massive amounts of ADHD. I'm sure if you've met me, you'd be like, no, really? That's crazy. I can't imagine that. I take medication for it. What I like about the Neuro Brain and Focus formula is that it's got a ton of B vitamins. And it's super interesting because whether or not I'm taking my prescription ADHD medication or not, my ADHD doctor always reminds me that I need to take B vitamins in the morning. Reason being if you have ADHD, if you've got an ADHD brain, chances are you are a little bit low on B vitamins anyway. So yeah, it was interesting. So, I mean, yeah. So trying to start the day and focus from a super depleted, vitamin deficient sort of place is really tough. So his whole point to me was B vitamins every day, whether or not you're taking ADHD medication. Make sure you exercise, eat well, meditate, all of that, but B vitamins every morning. Wow. So first thing in the morning with breakfast, I think it's a really, really, really effective addition to my ADHD sort of plan in the morning. And I've been feeling, I guess, less malnourished. That's probably not even the right term. I've been feeling more, I have more vitamins that my body is supposed to have.
So once again, we thank our sponsors, CBD Pure and Oweli Supplements. We'll post links to both product lines on our Instagrams and on our upcoming website. Just remember your code for 15% off and free shipping is SOULFAM. That's SOULFAM, SOULFAM. Now, on with the show. So here on the SOULFAM podcast today, we introduce you to Anthony Powers, the High Priest, whom Lexi and I were fortunate enough to meet at AlienCon a few months ago. Anthony is a delight. You will find gems in this podcast. He is a true leader, a true soul, and someone who's acting in his highest and his most. We hope you enjoy. Here on the SOULFAM podcast today, we have Anthony Powers, the High Priest, visiting us live from Egypt. Take it away, Anthony.
All right. Yeah. So my name is Anthony Powers, healer, artist, activist, medicine man, and born and raised in Fresno, California, raised with my grandmother and great-grandmother. She was an ordained minister. Woke up every day to 5 to 12 women praying. That was a huge part of my life, and dedicated my life to service through her. We would feed the hungry out of our home. Like Fresno, California during that time was the #1 murder per capita in all of California, in all of the United States during the Uzi generation. And people would sometimes run to our home for sanctuary, because if you got into our yard, if somebody was trying to kill you, they'd leave you alone. It was a respect that people had from my grandmother. I started activism at a young age. My first time being in the newspaper, being quoted on politics, I was in first grade. I took that to UC Berkeley. While at UC Berkeley, I worked with everybody from I was a guest speaker, the opening speaker for different people like Jesse Jackson and Ben Chavis and Rosa Parks and Coretta Scott King and Betty Shabazz and Kwame Ture and Farrakhan and various other people. From there, moved more fully into my artistry, taught the choreography in the Matrix movies, worked everybody musically from Stevie Wonder to Akon to Santana to Robbie Krieger from The Doors, you name it, lots of different people. So from there, I continued my spiritual teachings that I was raised, but I integrated things I've studied from around the planet, from around the globe, and integrated those into my life and integrated those into what I teach others. And quick introduction. Hope that sufficed.
That was amazing. Wait, can we go back to Fresno and the fact that because of the respect for your grandmother, your property was considered a sanctuary or safe?
Yeah. We would give out so much food out of our home. My grandmother worked with the local food banks, and we would give out so much food out of our home. My grandmother was the founder of the prison ministry and the hunger ministry. And she had been in that community for so long. So because of the love that we gave to the people in the area, the people in that community, even when it was like the most dangerous city and the most dangerous zip code, I should say, in all of America, that was a safe place. And we had various people who came to us to have their life saved by getting onto our property.
Wow. She sounds like an angel. She sounds like an actual angel.
Amazing, amazing, amazing woman. I learned so much from her. That's what, like, when I tell people, sometimes things will be made hard for you so that you could be where you need to be. If my parents were, God rest both of their souls, if they were the type of parents that they wanted to be, I wouldn't have received the amount of wisdom that I did at her knee. You know what I mean? I had to be next to her so I can see her living example of faith, love, and service. She sometimes would give away all the food that we have and then just walk up and down the hallway. So I thank you, God, for blessing us with the food. Like, you know, like like the idea of giving thanks before you even receive anything. And then later on, I intellectualized it to go with the spiritualism side of it. And I understood the power of gratitude as far as attracting what we need. You know, I got to tell people, sometimes we ask the Most High or Source or whatever you want to call it, or we pray and meditate for stuff, but we don't actually believe it's going to happen. Like if I called you, I'm like, hey, Lex and D, I got $5,000. I'm sending it to you right now. Oh, you'd be like, okay, thank you. You're checking, you're checking the routing, you know, like it's coming in this day. We have more faith in FedEx, UPS, and the USPS than we do whatever divine force we say that we believe in. So like, that's why it's so important to say that, to say those thanks, to give that gratitude, because gratitude magnetizes blessings. It magnetizes things that are more things to have gratitude for.
So was that something that came from your grandmother, or is that something that you've just really grasped and it's been shown to you in multiple ways throughout your lifetime?
It was something I wasn't taught in words. I was taught to it by action. My grandmother wasn't a woman of, but she's not the kind who would say, I love you. She taught me a lot of scriptures, a lot of old stories, but she's just somebody who just by the way that she lived, taught me like so much. For instance, like another thing I tell people is I treat everybody the same way I would treat angels, even if the flesh doesn't deserve it, the God inside of them does. And and that's partially because our home was open to so many people. Like my grandmother raised foster kids, and a lot of them were with our family since 1988, are still with our family, and some, and like, you know, like are still like parts of the family. Like people like who needed a place to stay, like her, like we had I had a blind relative that I grew up with inside of my home. My grandmother's uncle-in-law, like my grandmother's aunt grew up with me in my early part of the home, and like her brain was messed up. Is actually part of how my family got to California, is that my great grandmother's youngest sister, I was also raised with my great grandmother staying in the house with me, but my great grandmother's youngest sister back in Louisiana 100 years ago was beat and raped by a bunch of men, and then her brothers killed the men and then brought the family to California. But her mind was never right. She had brain damage. They gave her brain damage, and her mind was never right. And I never knew actually why her mind was messed up until I actually became an adult, like many, many years later. But just having compassion and having the heart to help and to lead through service, and to understand that even if you don't physically have what you're giving now, it will be returned to you in another way, and that by feeding others, you won't go hungry.
So how does that work into your life right now?
So much. One of the things I'm doing out here in Egypt actually is we did a lot of work with some orphanages in the area, bringing them books and balls and barrettes and stuff for their hair and musical instruments and all kinds of things to create the next generation of musicians, athletes, scholars, artists, just little things like that. Like kindness should be a continuing verb. Not a noun. It should be a continuous verb. And the way that we live our life, like there's stray dogs in areas. Egypt has so many stray dogs. So like I feed them, but oftentimes it's not even the food that they want. They just want somebody to come pet them. Oftentimes people just need, and any spirits and any beings just truly need to feel that somebody actually cares for them. That goes such a long way. One of my favorite quotes is "Love thy neighbors, I love themselves." But the problem with the way that many people love their neighbors is because they truly don't understand yet how to truly love themselves. And once we really tap in to that love of ourselves and find that connection to everything else that the love of ourselves really exemplifies, that's when we work together as not only a stronger country, a stronger planet, and as a stronger universal consciousness.
I'm curious, have you ever thought about going back into politics?
Have you ever thought about going back into what?
Into politics.
The reason I actually left politics, they were trying to fast track me at one time when I was at Berkeley. I was even offered admission to both law school before I even applied. It's hard to remain an honest politician. And even if you are an honest politician, then people are so jaded by the past relationships that they have politicians. People think they have bad personal relationships, bad ex-boyfriends, girlfriends. Man, we've had some bad ex-politicians. I see it would have to be the right circumstance.
Right.
And I'd have to be able to do it with the amount of integrity that my spirit deserves and that the people deserve.
It's really interesting. So kind of bringing this full circle, knowing a little bit about the work you do in group and with individuals, do you feel like your work is helping to create a new community? And perhaps you can also share with us how you work with groups and individuals.
I believe so. I am exposing people to deeper parts of their spirit. We're helping them expose themselves, I should say, more accurately. And giving people a few tools, a few nuggets that I've received that have helped me in my journey and that will help them. And the thing is that for different people, you need different tools, different lessons, different stories in order to truly expose them to the deepest parts of themselves. Plant medicines, as you well know, is something that I highly, highly advocate. It's been a part of mankind's evolution spiritually for years, and so many would argue also mentally and with our intelligence. And it's essential to the next step in our evolution, I believe, and the next step in our connectivity. People don't truly understand how connected we are. Quantum physics proves it, but there are simple things that you could just do, like light an incense stick in a room with the windows closed and just focus on that smoke, and that smoke will start going straight up. Just connecting that energy, like that focus and that energy and that intention can be seen in something as simple as that in the physical world. Now, if it could be seen in something as simple as that, then our intentions and our focus and our emotions, if we use intention and attention the right way, then we could change the aspects of our life that we desire to change. But sometimes we need to be careful as far as what we want to change. Sometimes we'll be thinking too small. Have you ever like when you were a kid and you were out and about and you wanted junk food so bad, you wanted snacks so bad, You're like, I want this, I want this, I want this chips. And your mom like, don't get nothing in the store, don't touch nothing. You're gonna ruin dinner. That's how the universe is sometimes. Sometimes the things that when we work at them and we're like, and we don't get them, it's sometimes because we're thinking too small for ourselves. We want to have a snack. We want to have some junk food, but the universe wants to give us a full course meal. It wants to properly sustain us for the long term. It doesn't want to give us empty calories. And understanding, having the wisdom to understand when things are not meant for you. But sometimes while working for the things that are not meant for you, you may be preparing yourself for what is meant to be placed into your path.
Wow. Never, ever considered it quite that way.
I have. I've considered it that way. Because it's like, yeah, you could go to 7-Eleven and just eat Sour Patch Kids and hot Cheetos for lunch. I have done that. I probably will do it in the future. But no, you're not really thinking about your long-term health or goals. And so if you're just petitioning the universe and you want I don't know, a new Subaru or a Range Rover, or you're so focused on getting that car because then you'll feel like you've made it. That's not really why you were incarnated here. That's, if you were to ask your higher self, that's maybe not what you're here to do. So is it something where we check in with our higher selves? Is there something that we can not test, but is there a way for us to measure whether or not our goal or desire is sort of worthy of divine assistance?
Well, it depends. One of the first things you do is you check, what are your motivations? What are your motivations for these things? Everybody wants comfort, but I say, we can own things, just never let things own us. We just have to check on how does it help our spirit? How does it help our physical self? How does it affect our family, our community, and the planet on the whole? And if the effects of those things line up to more positivity without creating negativity in other aspects of our life, then fine, go for it. And then by the time we get ready to get the Range Rover, maybe like the model that we thought that we wanted, when we get there, is the upgraded model that is meant for our life.
Ooh.
That's one reason, like in the past couple of years, so many of us have felt there's been a shaking up, to say the least, right? And so many of us have felt like we have been, it's almost like a house plant. Imagine, if you will, a house plant that is only getting so big. And then like the leaves like start to turn yellow at the ends. But once it gets transported into the proper garden where it can receive what it needs, where its roots could dig deeper into the intuition, into the spiritual vitamins and minerals, and intellectual and emotional vitamins and minerals that it needs to be sustained, where we can have others come and pollinate our ideas. Others come and give and help pass everything along, and then receive that divine inspiration from the sunshine and be fed by that. So that's one reason right now a lot of us who can't get comfortable in the situations that we're in, because we're houseplants that are either just got transported or in the process of getting transported into that new garden so that we can grow. And then once we grow, then the fruit that we bear will be so sweet.
Do you think somehow, especially with this shakeup, then we're being potentially, depending on where we're at frequency-wise and in our ascension process and just in our personal growth process, we're being pushed in other directions, locations, even in a very 3D sort of way, so that we end up, even if it's
exactly.
painful.
We learn at birth that transitions are uncomfortable. Like we've seen it. We're reminded of it again during puberty, another transition that is uncomfortable. That's part of the growth. That's part of the shedding of the skin. You ever watch one of those old martial arts movies and like the person gets beat or whatever, and they go down, and then they end up going to finally finding a new master, and then going through the most insane training, like they're running up the mountain with the buckets of water on both sides, and like having to stand up above the fire, and if their body leans, they drop into the fire. That's how it often is. We go through our different little montages, even though they don't seem like we're montages when we're living through them, but we go through our training montages for those next little steps that we have to take for that next battle, personally, communicatively, and spiritually.
So if any of us are sort of struggling with where we're at in life at the moment, is it wise to take a step back to see it as a montage, as you suggested? I really love that term. Because Earth life can be very challenging.
It's what you take from that montage. I speak a lot about that, about the hero's journey. We spoke about it a little bit last time. I'll refresh, if you guys don't mind, for the viewers and listeners. The hero in a comedy goes through so much more than the hero, the protagonist of any tragedy. They'll have their house burnt down. Their wife will leave them for their best friend. They'll get fired and they'll be outside it'll be raining, and the box that they gave them at the job with all their stuff in it will fall through the bottom, and a dog will piss on their leg. And we sit there laughing, ah, ha, 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 because we know it's going to be okay. If we decide that our life is going to be a comedy and not a tragedy, then we could laugh through the things and then go into the things with hope. When we go into situations with hope and with joy and with laughter, then the way that we approach and attack those things are something completely different. There's like when we go into something believing that we can do it and that there are going to be results for it, there's a complete different result and a different amount of effort than when we go in not believing. I say the words victim and victor start off with the same spelling, right? VICT. But we each get to decide how that spell ends. We each get to decide, are we going to just accept our plight, accept defeat in different aspects of our life? And sometimes the first part of defeat is our mindset. So many people speak death way too often. Like what's the big one of the here? Like, oh, I'm dead. FML. You're like, there's so many words that people say. They're like writing more obstacles into their natural script. They're writing more dilemmas, which called the universe is like, okay, FML, got it. So like those little things, even just like as saying like I'm broke, you don't say I'm broke. You're like, I'm awaiting my abundance. It's not in my budget right now. Which one thing you hear people say all the time: I'm horrible with names. I am improving at remembering names. We have to correct our speech patterns and our thought patterns and our action patterns as creators. And when we act as if things have already been done, like I said, that gratitude, there's like an old church song that they used to sing, don't wait till the battle's over, shout now. You know, in the end, you're going to win. Shout now. You know, man, you're in a horrible relationship, but it may not be with that person. It may be with somebody new in the future, but shout now because the universe is working harmoniously in our favor. I may not have the job. I may not have as much money as I want at this moment, but I'm shouting now because the universe is working harmoniously in my favor. I may need to heal, but I'm going to shout now because the universe is working harmoniously in my favor. The word heal, by the way, I always love to bring this up. The word heal means hey out, to call in God, to call God into any, to call the divine, to call source into any aspect of your life that you need to call in. There's different levels of health: physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, financial, recreational, and relational health. And if any of those levels of health are off balance, then we do off balance things. So pray for different aspects of your health. For people who you're not happy with and people that you are happy with, pray for different aspects of their health that need to be improved. Call in that divine masculine and feminine, that divine oneness that connects us all into every aspect of our life. And one way to do that is by treating life as a ceremony, understanding life as a ceremony.
So you were saying in healing, in the word heal, there is God. And so in every aspect of health and healing, to call upon God.
Yeah, well, into different aspects of your life, to call on the source. That, like, I use God. Some people say source, some people say the universe. It's just different names for the same thing. Quantum physics proves our interconnectivity, and it's funny. The more we learn about and more about the world, the physical world, it seems that the more we're learning about the spiritual world. And so much of what we've been taught, and so much of the esoteric teachings of the ancients correspond with new quantum physics. The combination of light and sound and scent and the way that they associate different things. For instance, the color middle C on the keyboard, if you multiply it by 144,000 times, becomes the color for a screen. And you use different notes, you use different colors, different sounds, different movements, different fragrances. Fragrance is very important because that's the scent most closely associated with memory. So you can unlock sacred or Akashic memories through scent. But by bringing those combinations of things, we're able to unlock different things in ourselves. But the main thing is the way we think and speak, and paying attention to our emotions, and asking our emotions why we feel this way, and can we feel another way about the exact same circumstances? Like one of the things my friends think, like I've always thought have been crazy. Like I've had times when my car has gotten towed, and like they're like, "How are you so calm?" And still laughing and joking. I'm like, "What's me? If I'm yelling and screaming and crying, is that going to help me get my car back any faster?" I might as well laugh about it. I might as well joke about it. It's going to be the same timetable, may even be even faster, because I'll attract what I need to get it back faster. And in the meantime, I'm not hurting my health and hurting my spirit. So that's the thing, is understanding the absurdity. The universe is absurd. Like it messes with you, and it has one of the biggest sense of humors. And just, making sure that you're in on the joke. Just be in on the joke.
Totally agree. I think that the universe does have a big sense of humor. And I think there are moments where, for me, if I work from home, I'm here a lot. If I do something silly, if I trip and fall, I don't get hurt, but it's just completely ridiculous. I do sort of get the sense of spirit guides kind of maybe next time you won't be walking around staring at your phone, huh? Maybe next time you will roll up your pants and so I do sort of get that playful, joking feedback sometimes. And you're right. When you sort of acknowledge it, it does become more fun. I was sitting outside on my little porch with my cat on a leash because that's what was happening. And I was like, wow, okay, am I in the right place? Spirit, on a porch with a cat on a leash. And again, I felt the same guides just kind of laughing. They're like, yep, this is it. Cat on a leash. You're right where you're supposed to be. And I was like, Well, okay, then. Is it that absurd for you?
Exactly. One of the things I tell people to meditate and pray for is a spirit of joy. Joy, like happiness is a condition, joy is a spirit. No matter what's going on in your life, you can have joy. I've had a few different deaths this year already in my family, but through it all, spirit of joy. Ups and downs, but a spirit of joy. Like I pray for a joy that is so contagious that Ebola will look like, damn, how'd he do that? That's the kind of joy I want, like where like it just overfills my vessel and everybody I walk by is just splashing all over them. But, like that's the kind of joy I pray for. And like that's the thing is once we acknowledge like there's like there like the spirit of joy and bringing it into ourselves, then no matter what else is going on, then we could sing about it, laugh about it, dance about it, find some kind of way to release though. I say we should sing, laugh, and dance at least once a day, every day. But like people need to find healthy ways to release. During ceremonies, we purge, right? Like purging is part of ceremony, but purging isn't always vomiting. Sometimes it's laughing. Sometimes it's crying. Sometimes it's shaking things loose from part of your body that are stuck inside of your body. That's what so much disease is. It's trauma and worry and stress that we've allowed to be trapped into our body and that we never released. A big part as far as sexual trauma is hips. There's so much sexual trauma in the hips, and I find it in both men and women. And the interesting thing about that is the hips are also a major antenna point for picking up and receiving magic. And under like as far as being aware of magic, like the hips are a major point for that. So that's one reason like why so many people's attitudes and relationship and history towards sex sometimes dampen their magic because those areas are blocked. And being able to understand how to unlock those things so that they can love themselves in a different way. Like, like that's one of the benefits of plant medicines. First time I did Aya, I dealt with traumas that I didn't even know I had, like things that I remember, just even in like personal relationships that created negative impacts on me. Rather like things from childhood, things from women I've dated. I've even saw things from before I was born that went through my family like that I saw. And being able to face something and face it with honesty and face it with compassion. One of my favorite scriptures, I have a lot, you'll notice, is, it's like, forgive us our trespasses, we forgive those who trespass against us. Being able to forgive yourself comes from our ability to forgive others, because the more that we're able to forgive others for, the more we believe that we deserve forgiveness for. And we get like that compassion. Like I told you before, I see everything as a healer. If somebody is sick and they can't get out of bed and they're supposed to make breakfast, I'm not going to be mad at them for making breakfast. Well, there are different types of dis-ease that we all have and that we're all healing from and that we're all working on. And when those amounts of dis-ease are in play, then it makes us do things that take away the ease of other people as well. So seeing that in people, I'm able to forgive them more. I'm not saying you have to be around everybody who takes away your ease and takes away your comfort and take away your peace, but you can forgive them even if it's from far away. And then that allows you to sometimes forgive yourself and different things like why was I stupid enough to deal with this person? You'll hold on to that. Why did I forgiving them allows you to forgive yourself for all of that too. And as we spoke about last time, the forgiveness of parents is so essential to us moving forward. because it's literally in our DNA. And when we can't forgive those whose DNA, who we are copies of or new versions of in a certain way, until we can forgive them, all of the hate and vitriol and pain that we hold towards them, we also reflect back into ourselves. And when we reflect back on ourselves, we may not even understand that it's bouncing back or how it's bouncing back. There'll be certain self-sabotages that we will do just because our parents did it and we didn't forgive them. We didn't forgive them for having those self-sabotages. So we end up repeating those same cycles. And then we start hating ourselves for repeating a cycle that we already saw and that we told ourselves that we would never do and that we would never be. But because we had our attention on it, even though the attention that we had on it was negative attention, it still brought it into our lives. Perfect example of that in the mundane sense. When I was living in Luxor, I called this restaurant and I told them, give me odds. Odds is like Arabic for lentils and molahea, but no molahea today, because I would normally get molahea when I would come. And I told them no molahea. And that's like a green leafy soup. And when I got there to the restaurant, they had my odds, they had my lentils, which I had put attention to, but they also had my molahea, which I had put attention to. And because I put attention towards it, it still ended up on my plate. When you get a menu, your waiter doesn't ask you, what would you not like to eat today? Constantly are telling the universe, telling source, and telling ourselves and focusing so much on what we do not want on our plate. Instead of asking that, ask ourselves, what do I truly, truly want? What is essential for my path? What needs, just saying what you truly desire and visualizing it and blocking out all of those fears and all of those other things that are getting in the way. And finding our purpose, man, utilizing our talents. Are you guys familiar with the old parable of the talents?
No.
All right, so there was a parable of the talents. There was a master, and he was leaving for a while. And he called all of his servants, and he says, all right, I'm going to give each of you guys a talent of gold. A talent in antiquity was weighed about as much as the average man. So basically your weight in gold. I'm going to give each of you guys a talent of gold. And what I want you to do, and some of them gave multiple talents. He gave them talents of gold. And he says, I want you to invest these talents and go and invest them and put them out there and everything and turn them into more gold for when I get back. And there were some who went and did that. They went and took their golds and they traded them, the talent, and invested and made some. And then some were like, oh man, I can't lose the master's gold. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bury it. I'm going to hide it. And then when the master came back, those who had utilized, had invested the talents of golds, he said, oh man, he gave them praise and then gave them more talents of gold to invest. And those who didn't invest their talents and just hid them away, he called them wicked servants and actually took their talents and gave them to the ones who did invest them. Now, we all have talents that are worth our weight in gold. And it's essential that we invest these talents and not allow fear, not allow doubt, because doubt's the devil. Faith and fear can't exist in the same space at the same time. We take these talents and we invest these golden talents, invest them, spend time working on them, taking them out, showing them to the world, sometimes don't even worry about if it's perfect. Like things, like in an analog world, things don't have to be perfect. That's people like get things just because they're not perfect. People buy distressed jeans. People like tables and furniture. Marilyn Monroe's most famous feature was arguably was her beauty mark, which is technically a blemish, but it added to her beauty, it added to her individuality. In jazz music, sometimes you play notes slightly off key or slightly off tempo for effect, but that's what gives it its beauty. So like we need to get out there and utilize our talents. Don't worry about perfection. Strive for perfection, but accept excellence. And just strive to do a step at a time, a step at a time, step at a time, and just building it and putting those talents out there and enriching others with those talents of gold by the investments we make in each other's talents, make investments in each other's gifts, making investments in each other's skills, and also stop dashing each other's dreams. One person's dream is another person's delusion. And the thing is that if your dream doesn't sound crazy to somebody, then it's not crazy enough for you. We need to dream crazy. We need to dream on the edge of sanity, on the very edge of sanity, where sometimes we're questioning ourselves, like, have I lost my ever-loving mind in what I believe and what I want to achieve? We need to get to that point so that we can end with a fervor. We need to live that way with a zealot, with the fervor of a zealot for our dreams and for what we want our paths to be, and with a certainty, fearlessly forward.
You're sure you don't want to be in the political campaign? Maybe for a new earth, maybe for a new kind of existence.
Yeah, for a new system. You know, I still thought about it. It's funny. I was like, when I was in elementary school, I was voted most likely to be president. Like, but you know, like to quote Prince, you could be the president. I'd rather be the Pope. You could be the side effect. I'd rather be the dope.
Well, you're definitely the dope.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So what do you have kind of upcoming? And so my burning question is, what do you feel that we as humans on this planet, on this earthly planet, need to do, feel, be in order to expand this universe and live as earthlings a better life?
There's a lot of things. First thing is, as I stated before, changing our mindsets and love. Everything it comes down to vibration. Once we raise vibration, we raise everything else. So like raising our love vibration for ourselves and how we see ourselves, loving our love vibration for our neighbors, and then also be easier on ourselves sometimes. Like we beat ourselves up so much, and individually and collectively. And we need to understand that our enemy isn't the physical. We get so divided by so many insignificant differences that we keep on fighting and bickering, and we're fighting over symptoms and not over the roots. And if we could get to the true root of everything, which is more love, less fear, which is basically, those are the two biggest opposing forces. There are others, but those are two of the biggest opposing forces. And we need to choose a side, and we need to choose a side consistently. Is it going to be faith or fear? Is it going to be love or hate? Is it going to be generosity or greed? We need to make those decisions on a daily basis in every aspect of our lives. Is it going to be wisdom or ignorance? And then when we choose a side, then we have to live that way. And if enough do it, it's kind of like a particle accelerator. So like to create a nuclear reaction, you use particle accelerators. And you have a group of particles that blast into a much larger group of particles that creates a reaction. If enough people start living this way at the proper amount of time, then and with fervor, then we could be the particle accelerators for this planet, spiritually for this planet to change. And it doesn't take the entire planet changing at once. It takes a critical mass of people that will come through and shoot and blast at that higher vibration to the rest of the planet. If you take high vibrational particles and put them in close proximity with other high vibrational particles, they increase each other's vibration and they releases energy. The same thing happens with high vibrational individuals. So getting more high vibrational individuals together, I've recently thought of an amazing dream of having a global day where you can have as many people as possible all do plant medicine ceremonies wherever they're at. And if they don't have plant medicines, pray, meditate wherever they're at, because you actually get connected on the psychic spiritual realm. I've had conversations with somebody who's doing a plant medicine ceremony. When I was in Cairo, one of my friends, she was doing a ceremony in another part of the city for this guy's sister, and I was doing a ceremony in another part of the ceremony for the guy. And the brother and sister actually communicated, even though we were doing different plant medicines during the ceremony, and me and the other person doing the ceremonies communicated. Iboga in the Bwiti tradition is a 5-day ceremony where they do it for 5 days. It's also the most amazing thing for getting rid of any addictions. Yeah, but it's a 5-day straight. And when they do it in Africa, the traditional way. And they also give it to the dogs. And the dogs, so if anything happens, it comes to the village, the dogs are psychically connected to the entire village. So if something happens, it's amazing. So I was thinking, if there was a day where we could get enough people around the planet to set their intentions and all do plant medicines at the same time, the amount of emotional, psychic, and spiritual overlay that will take place between the different people around the world can be so beautiful.
Wow.
Okay, Anthony, I think that sounds great. Let's do it. I think we should do it.
I'm on board.
Let's organize it.
I mean, that's an energy current, right? Isn't that like sort of the hermetic idea of an egregore, maybe? There's like an energy current that you're tapping into. And the thing is you're not just by meditating or praying or participating in some way, you're not just feeding into it or putting into it, but those really high vibrational energy currents can protect you as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then just the intention and then that love that people go through. And then at the same time, you'll have a lot of people. Not everybody's trips are may not be beautiful, but there's going to be a lot of people releasing stuff that they need to release. It's like the job of each of us, now that we know better, to try to release some of that generational trauma, that generational fear. They've proven in rodents that fear lasts at minimum 5 generations. They've proven with monkeys and everything else. So you can be afraid of something that happened over 5 generations before you're even born. And being able to clear all of that stuff out, and that amount of massive dump of BS that we can release so that we can receive what we truly want, because it's taking up space. All that stuff is taking up space that wants to be filled, that wants to be filled with the divine, that wants to be filled with hope, that wants to be filled with love. So if we all do that day where we can release so much of our crap and then bring in the spiritual sustenance that we truly need, I think it'd be so, so powerful.
Let's do it.
Seriously down with it.
Me too.
Let's get going.
Let's do it.
Get on.
We're on board.
Yeah.
As it happens with you always, Anthony, these are the most amazing conversations. I have to say, it's more than going to lecture with Aristotle. It's sort of mind blowing. I feel my frontal cortex sort of popping off here, but we're coming. I know we're coming to an end, and we all have other things to do today. So, how can people get in touch with you? Where are you? When can we start organizing this day?
Yes. The easiest way to connect with me is via Instagram. My IG is Powers the High Priest. And I'm constantly putting videos out there to make people think a little bit, make people love a little bit, and sometimes make people laugh. So check out my page if you're called to it, and if you are called to it, I pray that it helps you bring some healing in some aspects of your life.
Absolutely. And tell us about your next, where are you going to be on the planet in the next month or two?
Next month or two.
Yeah.
Right now I'm still in Egypt, on the Red Sea, and I hope to be back within the next month. I have one ceremony planned in Arizona, and I'm sure I definitely have to plan some in LA once I get back as well, because I miss my medicine community out there, and I'm excited to welcome you guys into the medicine community, and I will invite Paul, like if it's a different one.
It'll be a jam.
The whole crew.
Yeah.
The whole crew. It'll be awesome. So that'll be cool. Well, we look forward to it. And I'm sure Lexi feels like I do. We're so grateful. I feel like I'm in Egypt right now for some reason.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I'm in a temple.
In the
in
Library of Alexandria, in some sort of mystery school setting, learning from a sage.
Can't wait till you guys come out. I would love to bring you guys out here sometime, take you guys to some of the sacred spots. There's a door that I need to get enough people there to try to open it. I've got it to vibrate. It's an interdimensional portal of Asar. There's all kinds of secret areas of Kemet that I get to take people to that are so beautiful. We'll go inside the pyramids. I plan to do a big thing inside of the Sphinx. So let's get out here.
Okay. Let's do it.
Go.
All right. So
yes.
we will see you soon. We will see you soon. We'll see you soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
Super grateful for being a part of the SOULFAM podcast.
Super grateful for you guys for having me. I always love having conversations with wise, beautiful, loving women, and I'm honored.
I think we're honored.
We're honored. Thank you, Anthony, for all of your time.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the SOULFAM podcast. Be sure to tune in to every episode where we dive into a different rabbit hole of the known and unknown to empower you in conscious living and exploration of the greater universe. We hope you leave each episode with a little stardust in your hair and inspiration in your heart. With love from your SOULFAM.